Hi guys and girls, welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and another video for the Monogram Models Clubhouse. Almost forgot the name. So yesterday I posted a video on the first Monogram model kit that I can remember building, and that was the M4 with rocket launcher Screamin' Mimi kit. So there was that one. So I built a lot of kits back then. I can't remember which order or which ones I built, but I did build quite a few of them back then. But after building the Screamin' Mimi again when I got back into the hobby 5 years ago, 5 years ago? Yeah, 5 years ago? Wow, it's been that long. I decided that I wanted to build some more of them. And as many of you probably know, being Monogram builders, the original Monogram kits were re-released some years back by Revell. There was still the original Monogram kits, but in Revell boxings. And one of them that was readily available at my local Hobby Lobby was the Panzer IV, and I think it's an Ausführung H. I know it's not H in German, but I don't know how to say H in German. But that was one of the kits that I never got to build as a kid because my local retailer that sold the Monogram kits never had it. That was one that I never got to build. But I did get one, and I did build it, and I did it a couple of years ago, and I built it as one of what I started calling nostalgia builds. That's building old kits that I built as a kid, or ones that I really wanted as a kid, but just wasn't available in my area. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the Panzerkampfwagen Mark IV Ausführung H by Monogram. Alrighty then, here it is, Panzerkampfwagen Mark IV. This was a fun kit to build. Compared to modern kits, or even some of the older Tamiya kits, a lot of people look at these as being quite simplistic and not really that great as far as detail and all that kind of stuff, but actually the detail is pretty good, as is evidenced by this front plate here. All the detail, screws and bolts, the hinges look nice. You got this nice non-skid surface here, and they were pretty simplistic, and some of the detail is quite thick, like these the brackets for holding on the armor skirt, and the armor skirt itself is really super thick. But considering the technology that was available in the when these things were first tooled, they're not bad, and they can make some pretty decent models. So this one here, I wanted to do something a little bit different and try something I'd never tried before, being Zimmerit. And I did do one other kit with Zimmerit, but I did it in a different way. This one I actually applied a putty on here and created the grooves and all that kind of stuff. And it turned out pretty decent. I just used basic vinyl wood filler from the hardware store, and used a thread gauge. It's just like a little fold-out tool, kind of like a feeler gauge you use for checking the gaps on spark plugs and points and stuff like that. But it's got teeth on it, so you can measure the thread pitch on screws, bolts, whatever. And that's what I used to create the pattern, and it worked out pretty good. The putty thing just is freaky to me, but it did turn out pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised by the way it turned out. But excuse me, one other thing I did on this that I had done on one of the Stugs that I built back in the day by Monogram is Monogram provides these awesome panels with shot damage to it, and I did it as a youngster, and I did it now you know, you cut out the 2 sections, you know, or however many you want to do. You cut those out, and you glue these in place, so you have some damaged stuff here. Now, whether or not that's actually realistic, I mean, if you had that much penetration that many times on the side skirts of a Panzer IV, I'm not really sure that it wouldn't have taken out the tank. But you know what? We're going to say it didn't. But that was kind of cool. So that was, you know, that was one of the things I really liked about these kits. And, you know, I did a tricolor camouflage scheme. The yellow parts seem a little bit green to me. That was my what I used on this was for the base coat was the Vallejo Dunkelgelb primer that they came out with a few years ago, and I used it on this kit, but I never used it again. I got rid of it. It just was too green, and I didn't really care for it. Also got a little bit better with my rusting. We got the rusty exhaust here with a lot of texture going on. And then this small auxiliary motor exhaust here, I rusted that up. So, you know, it's a little bit better than the, than the Screaming Mimi. Rusted up the tracks, added a little bit of metal to them. But anyway, it was a really fun build, fun kit. And, you know, it comes with these old school figures. Man, these things are ancient. And, excuse me, man, I'm clogged up. The faces are a little dark and weird, but, you know, I've never been much of a figure painter, working on it. But anyway, they turned out good. The one thing to note, though, is the sculpts on these things, for as old as they are actually pretty good. He's got a big hole in his back. But, you know, the detail's pretty decent. You can do a good job painting these guys. And Shepard Payne, Mr. Monogram diorama builder himself, he did a really good job back in the day painting these guys up without much modification. And they just have held up pretty well. So anyway, this is the second kit that I'm going to be showing in a short series of my Monogram armor kits for the Monogram Models Clubhouse Facebook page. So hope you enjoyed this short little video. If you have any questions, comments, any of that kind of stuff, put them down below. And I'd love to see some of your Monogram kits if you have any. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you all later.